Before we begin, please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell to receive the notifications. My guest today started a musical journey just over a decade ago. Her work has always carried a powerful message, and for the time she was active in the game, she made moves many would envy. But then she went all quiet on the music front. I'm intrigued to know her story, so without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the 521 Sofa Chat, Oracy.
What's good? Say, big up. Nice to be here.
Thanks for coming down. It's been a few years since we spoke.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself before we go into the details?
Yeah, sure. Oracy, from Wolverhampton, West Midlands vibe. Kind of got into hip hop when I started going to the skate park predominantly. I was a bit of like a pop rocker before that. I didn't really know what hip hop was, to be fair. Hip hop was just whatever was on TV at the time.
What do you mean, like Vanilla Ice?
I told you about this story earlier, innit? Like when I was 2, I used to love Vanilla Ice. He was sick, but I outgrew that, and then I got into like some pop rock.
Okay.
And all the kids at the skate park were listening to like UK hip hop, and I'd never heard it before. But I was like, oh, this is dope. And some of the skaters used to rap, and then I kind of got into hip hop and rapping back then.
Okay.
Yeah, and then started rapping outside the gates at college, which was kind of the thing before you go to college or hang out. Smoke a bit, spit some bars before going to biology and all of that.
When you said some of the kids used to be rhyming at the skate parks and all that, is there anybody that we know now?
No. There was like a small cannabis, but not really.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame. My partner at the time used to rap Sean, and he was like kind of good. Him and his brother, they were always freestyling, and I was like, oh. Okay. And at first I was like, do you two do anything else apart from skate and rap? But then I kind of got into it, and I was like, okay, it's pretty dope.
When you're saying skating, was it roller skating
or
skate?
Yeah,
okay, rollerblading.
I used to skateboard when I was about 14, just for like 6 months. Then I saw some rollerbladers, and I kind of gravitated towards that a bit more.
Your name, Oracy.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know what that means, do you want to explain?
Yeah, so oracy is the ability to express oneself fluently and grammatically in speech. I came across it, I was reading an article about literature, and I'd never saw the word before, so I had to look it up. And I was like, oh, that would be a sick name for a rapper. So I just took it, because I thought I don't know another Oracy. So I took it from there, and feel it suits my purpose.
Yeah, it does. I mean, if you check your lyricism,
you
can see that you've kind of used that to actually define who you became as a lyricist.
No, a lot of people are like, oh, it's a unique name, but I feel like it's nice, it has a meaning. And I do feel like it kind of encompasses what I ended up becoming.
For a lot of musicians,
you
know, their hobbies kind of are along the lines of cars and whatever else, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yours is a bit different.
Yeah,
I'm a nerd. You're into Lego and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm a nerd, like an adult child. I don't know. Yeah, I still like Lego. My mum buys me Lego like pretty much every time I visit.
Okay.
I'm not even ashamed. Like I like making Lego.
So if anybody wants to send Oracy any Christmas presents,
wait, the micro Lego, not just any Lego. It needs to be like the micro Lego.
You're not...
Micro. It's like mad skills. You have to be like genius to do micro Lego.
Okay.
I like puzzles. Try and play. I used to be in chess club as a kid, and I'm really bad at chess now. But it's something I've kind of got back into a little bit. And just reading books. I'm a bit of a solitary person, so I literally just get in from work, read a book. I still like colouring pictures, like Marvel characters and that. Like it's relaxing. Put on some tunes, colour.
Your wordplay, your lyricism, where did that come from?
I can't say like that I've got a conscious influence. I mean, obviously, whatever music I've been listening to my whole life has influenced my flow or my style. But I can't say when I was writing, I thought, oh, let me try and like sneak in this kind of flow or pattern. I feel like it just developed.
Okay.
When I first started writing and rapping, I just stuck to like the same, not the same rhyme scheme, but probably the same word. I could have like a whole verse that just rhymed about the same word, because I didn't really realise about switching things up.
Okay.
Then I used to listen back and be like, oh, that's a bit monotonous. And then introduced, maybe just as my skills developed, I think you start playing around more, right?
Yeah.
If you're playing guitar, you'll do a little basic 4-chord thing, then you get a little bit fancy.
Yeah.
I feel like it just progressed.
You done a track, a drum and bass track called Femc.
Yeah.
Right. I want to break down the reason behind that, because why did people kind of go, oh yeah, she's a female rapper or she's a female MC?
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
I wasn't consciously aware of the whole like male-female divide for a little while. But it was when I started to get invited to like all female shows. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all, because it was set up by females and they had like good intentions behind it. But I was sometimes just like, is there really a need? It's not like when you're trying to set up, like, I don't know, more diversity. So you'll have like, oh, an Asian only fair or something like that. For me, I found being a female, if anything, was probably beneficial. And some people might hate me for saying that, but I don't feel like I consciously faced any hurdles being a female MC. If anything, I think it probably made things easier for me. In fact, not probably, I'm convinced it made things easier for me. I can go to an open mic and grab the mic. And I reckon even if I was shit, people would be like, oh, there's a girl and she's rapping, like as if like we don't have rhythm and stuff.
Yeah.
Luckily I could actually rap to a decent degree.
Yeah.
But I feel like it just helped you stand out. If you're at an open mic and there's 12 guys and then someone hears like a softer voice, I'll be like, oh, who's that? And if you're going to remember anyone from the night, you'll remember whoever you thought was best. Oh, and there was one girl as well. Like, yeah. But yeah, going to female only shows, and when I started to do like interviews and stuff, I felt like if there were 10 questions, they were 90% like about being a woman.
How did that affect you? Like, I mean, it's like you've spent all this time basically being an artist, perfecting your skills, pretty much going through the Shaolin temple of rapping.
Yeah.
And then all people are talking about is like, you're a female MC.
I only became more aware of it as I got older. Like, I used to play football when I was younger, and I was quite used to people saying, oh, you're good for a girl, as if like women have any less body coordination than a guy.
Yeah, they do really. I'm
there
joking.
You go. Like, I will skill you out outside afterwards. But I kind of was used to it. So I was kind of used to saying like, yeah, so I can play football. Like, so when it came to rap, I think I was so used to it that I didn't really notice that it was, I'm not going to say an issue, but that it was a bit of a stupid thing to say. And I think after a while I was like, this is just annoying now. Like, even going to all-female events is cool, but I like a bit of testosterone around me, you know? Like, I nearly went to an all-girls school, and I'm glad I didn't. That would have been a nightmare. Just bring the balance in it.
Yeah.
So for me, I've never had any hurdles, and it just got to a point where I was like, oh, these interviews are a bit long. And I never really wanted to bring up the issue of like, oh, female and femc or whatever. But I think one day I had this one interview and I didn't actually answer the questions. I just was like, oh, I didn't reply. And I'm not like that.
Was it a written interview?
Yeah, so they'd sent me the questions beforehand, like it was for a magazine. I can't remember what magazine, so I'm not even being discreet. It was just, I don't remember.
Do you feel that question kind of degrades you though? Like,
I didn't realise until that specific interview, and I was just like, oh, is this all you want to talk about? Like, there's much more to me than being a female MC. If it was just like 1 question, 2 questions, 3 questions, it was like the whole interview was like...
When you were talking about all-female events,
yeah,
right? What events were these?
I've been to so many that I've lost track, I'm going to be honest with you.
Is there any one particular one that you remember, and who organised it? What was it to
There's
do
a
with?
cool one that I really enjoyed being part of called Femc Fest, which...
Is that where the name came from for the track?
No, it wasn't actually. I remember they got in touch with me about Femc Fest, and I was like, oh, yeah, but do you know what's really ironic? Like, I just released this tune called Don't Call Me a Femc, but they were like, no, it's cool. I think the festival was in Italy, but it might have been France. I can't remember. It was a little while ago. But it was quite a regular, like, every year thing, and I went there, like, 3 years in a row. And it was really good vibes, like... I'd say it had, like, squatters' roots in a good way, because I used to love going to squat parties and raves and stuff like that. But the energy was really good, and as much as it was like, oh, it's all women performing, it wasn't a case of, oh, it's just women because they don't get the spotlight. It was just kind of a way of, like, I don't know, building with each other and promoting each other. And some women don't feel safe being around men all the time, so it's kind of a safe space. And I could respect that. It was cool. There wasn't any... I don't know. I feel like it was all for a positive reason rather than for, oh, we need help. It wasn't like that. It was more like, oh, let's just chill out, a bunch of girls together and have a good time at a festival.
So I seen a picture of you on your Instagram page.
Yeah.
With one of my favourite MCs, Mice Diggy, Maestro.
Yeah. Do you know what you reminded me? I forgot. So years ago when I first started putting out tracks, I was like, oh, let me send my tunes to people and like see what they think. And one day I just got a bit brave and thought, oh, I'll send it to Maestro. And he actually replied and I was gassed. And you know what? I rated him. He's like, yeah, your bars are sick, but the quality of the recording was terrible. Like, don't ever release music like that. Like, make sure your music sounds good if your bars are good.
But you know, if Maestro's saying that to you, you know he rates you.
But it was cool. Like, one, I was just gassed he actually replied because he didn't know me from Adam. I'd literally just started rapping. And 2, I was just mad grateful that he was honest. He wasn't like, oh, yeah, it's cool. He was like, yeah, your lyrics are cool, but the quality is, like, awful. Like, practice it and make sure you go to a good recording studio. It was just a hobby, so I didn't really take it too seriously. And I was a bit of a poor musician in that I didn't have the ear for quality.
Do you regret that?
Not really. Even in hindsight, no, not really. 'Cause it was just a hobby.
You know, at some point you must have felt like, yo, this could have been more than a hobby because I'm actually good at what I do.
Every now and then, but I'm going to be very honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a bit big-headed, but I got to the point where I thought, people were like, oh, you could like really make it. And I was thinking, if I wanted to, I probably could. But I didn't really have the desire to do that. If I was making music to get to like a level of, I don't want to say fame, but a level of recognition, I would have gone about things different. But I was actually just putting music out because I enjoyed it. I only made an album because people were like, oh, have you got a CD? I'll buy the CD. Have you got an EP? And people kept asking. I was like, oh, maybe I should just do an EP. And then I did it. And then people said, oh, you should put out another album. I wouldn't have done that if people didn't ask for it, if that makes sense.
Every now and then someone comes along where I just feel like picking up the phone and going, yo, that is sick. And you were one of those people. I still remember that call.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I found out that you weren't interested anymore and everything, it was kind of like, why?
Why? Like, you were so close. You were at that level of, you could have gone either way. But I'll be honest with you, music was a hobby that just ended up consuming my life. And it was cool, but music was the only cool thing about my life. Like, every other element of my life was, like, really bad. Like, my relationships with my friends, I didn't see them. I didn't make efforts to socialise.
If you had to choose between your relationships, your friends, and music, why didn't you just get rid of your friends and your relationships?
No, because that lasts forever. No, but that's people would say that though. You're joking. Other people weren't joking. Like, I don't know. I saw people who had done music for a long time, and I looked at them and thought, that's cool, but I also knew I had more to me. Like, music's cool, and I'm good at music, but I could probably be good at other stuff as well. Like, why don't I go and find out?
Would you go back to it?
You know what? If you would have asked me like a month ago, I'd have said nah. But when I told people, oh, I'm going to do like a little music thing, they're like, what? I said, yeah, but you know what? Yeah, like Blade hollered me and I just was like, can't say no. Like, yeah, I'll do that. You're the first person that's actually got me like, oh, actually, yeah, let me go and...
The reason why I reached out to you is because I felt like you could have made it. Yeah. And there's not many people I can say that to. And I'll tell you the reason why. And I'll say this on camera straight. A lot of people might be dope MCs. They might be incredible like producers and whatever. But the mentality is what holds people back. You know, like they hold themselves back.
Yeah.
Because they've got a mindset that just basically stifles a lot of things. And I guess people don't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear it when I was in my early stages. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But your mindset, from talking to you earlier, your mindset is right. You know, you're mature. You deal with things correctly and whatever. And I think the most important thing is that you do recognize the difference between like treating this as a hobby and if something happens, it happens. And that's the best thing you can do with music.
And I enjoyed it like that. It wasn't a pressure thing. Like, if I didn't have a gig for 2 months, it wasn't stressful. I enjoyed it while it lasted. And it wasn't like, I didn't say one day, oh, I'm never going to do music again. I just lost a bit of enthusiasm for writing. I didn't like chase gigs or anything to see when I can perform again. And I was like, oh, I kind of enjoy the break. Once my friend said, oh, I haven't saw you for ages, when can we catch up? And I looked at my calendar and I remember saying to him, oh, I've got a free weekend in 9 weeks. Yeah. And that's when I was like, no, that's dead. Like, let me just pause for music for a little bit and actually have a social life, innit? You
know, you could still make it. And as well as that, because the way the social media and everything works, it's like you could be 50 and still get a chance.
Yeah, for real. That's very true.
So I'm saying, if you got the skill, don't waste it.
Yeah, I'm not ruling it out at all. Yeah. Like, right now I'm busy like teaching, and that's kind of my focus right now because there's a lot involved with it. It's pretty new to me. But I did say like in a year or two, for sure. I mean, even though I'm working, it's not like I never rap. Like, we're doing Macbeth at school and I'm like, oh, Macbeth. But I'm writing like a little hip-hop version of Macbeth so you can perform it in assembly. Like, hip-hop's how I got into teaching in the first place, doing workshops at schools and stuff like that. So even if I'm not rapping, the element of hip-hop is still within me, if that makes sense, when I'm teaching, you know, peace, love, unity, have fun. So it's still there. So I wouldn't rule it out forever. Yeah. When I said, oh, I'm not going to do music, and then I saw an email about doing like a musical theatre thing, I was like, I don't even like musicals.
We'll come to that.
Yeah.
Because I think that achievement alone is a statement in itself about you carrying on. And reasons why you should carry on.
But this is what I think I might end up doing, something a little bit more, I don't know, something a bit different. Yeah. You
come from Wolverhampton originally, but then you moved to London.
Yeah.
So you're in New Cross.
Yeah.
Now, you know, my background is New Cross.
Yeah.
And you know, when I was out there making my early records, I got to become friends with Manage.
Yeah.
And,
same.
and so obviously you know all of those guys, you know, Manage, Logic, everybody.
Yeah.
You know, what was it like moving in those circles?
But yeah, I met Manage through Snuff. And then, Snuff hung around with Logic. cakes, and that's kind of how I was introduced to them. And they
Okay.
were just a cool bunch of
Cakes
people.
as in big cakes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They were
wicked.
just a cool bunch of people to be around
Yeah.
because I rated their music, and as people, they were like cool people to be around, like you know, positive influences. No one that's gonna like take you down the wrong road or anything like that.
I remember Manage used to tell me about these little park jams you used to do.
That was
those
like
days.
before I was around.
Okay.
But I always say like Manny's has always been very active and around and about. Like he set up an open mic that was in the area that we were at the time. I was like, oh, do you want to get on board? I was like, yeah, that would be cool. And it was a small little pub, but like the vibe was like notorious. And people would travel
pub was
far.
this?
It's the Bird's Nest in Deptford.
Right.
But he had like a good energy, he's got a good like mindset, and obviously I rated his music. Yeah. And now he's doing this like Lab 79 thing, which is dope.
Which is sick.
His heart is always in it, which I really rate. Like, part of me wishes I had that kind of ongoing passion forever.
But you know, if you were to make a move back into the game, you know you got support from a lot of those guys.
Yeah, that's it. And I know who I would go to already for certain bits and bobs and that. So I feel like as much as I'm out of the loop, I do feel like I could go to people and be, oh, I know it's been a few years, but what are you saying? And they'd be cool about it.
And they would be.
And not everyone in hip hop is like that. So I'm quite lucky that I feel like I know the people who are, you know, pure hearted and no bad vibes, yeah.
Do you also feel like with those guys that they don't even look at you as a female?
Oh yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I felt more than at home. It wasn't even a thing brought up at all.
Yeah, because I know them guys are just about the skills.
Yeah,
you know,
for real.
And the lyricism, the content.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you could be part of that Lab 79 thing.
No, I know. It crosses my mind sometimes because I'm hearing the beats, and I love Manager's beats. He could send me any beat, and I know I'd like it. So
listen, Manage. Right? Bro, you need to get Oracy in the Lab 79 equation.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I have been asking about him now, I'm not going to lie. So,
but listen, look, you lot don't know this yet, but hopefully I'm going to be uploading a freestyle session that Oracy did, and she smashed it. Same. So from hearing that, from when she's telling me she ain't rapping for this long and whatever, it's irrelevant because it's like riding a bike. You still got it. You still got it.
Yeah.
With this whole femc thing, right? I know that grates on you.
Yeah.
So if you had to look in the camera and say, what is on your chest to say, just leave it at that, I'm no different to you, what would you say?
Yeah, get over it. It's not boxing. It's fine. I don't need a category. It doesn't need to be brought up. I'm very proud to be a woman. That's cool. But I think when it comes to rap, it don't matter. It doesn't matter at all. That's it.
You heard it right here. It doesn't matter. Skills. There you go.
I can admit I only speak for myself, innit? I'm not speaking for every woman, which is another annoying thing I used to hate.
Like, do you feel, actually, that's a good point. Do you feel that some women play on that and they're like, yeah, female this, female that?
Yeah, but good for them. That's what I'm saying. Each to their own. Like, I don't even, like, that's cool. Part of me rates that. It's just not me. But I get it. And it kind of makes sense. You know, it kind of makes sense. That's what I'm saying. Just for me personally, it's not my vibe. But if it is, I rate you and I'll support that still. Okay. I'll support that. Like the whole sex sells thing. It makes sense. I'm not knocking anyone that's doing that whole posing, you know, like, that makes sense to me.
I mean, when I was making my earlier records, I tried selling sex, but it didn't work.
It didn't work for you?
No, it didn't work for me. So, yeah, I had to leave that one behind. You know, hip-hop has got these elements, these different elements that we all know about. You know, your graffiti, your beatboxing, your rapping, your DJing, your b-boying. Yeah. Right? I hear that you dabbled in graffiti.
Yeah, but it was not great. I did, and I enjoyed it. I used to tag Arise for a little bit.
Okay.
Just because I enjoyed it. Like, I remember when I started to get into hip-hop and I started to skate, there was a few, like, really good graffiti artists. And I was like, yeah, that looks sick. Obviously, growing up in Wolves as well, it has its history of, like, you know, notorious graffiti artists.
We're talking Goldie, Temper. Yeah.
So it was always something I was interested in. But I remember when I first picked up a can of paint and tried to spray, I was like, what is that? Like, it looked like a toddler did it. It was really bad. But I enjoyed the rush and the exploration. And
did you ever do that one where you went and you sprayed yourself?
Oh, no. But I once popped a can in my mum's garden somehow. I think it had, like, trapped paint in the top, and I was an amateur. I didn't know how to, like, undo that. So I popped it in the garden. And to this day, and I go back to my mum's garden, there's, like, blue specks on the gravel and that. Like, it's mad. Okay. But I enjoyed it, though. It was just like skating. You go and find a spot, you jump over the fence, go and find somewhere to skate, hope the security doesn't come. It adds to the excitement, innit?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's not something I do now, just because I'm a bit extra cautious of, like, my job responsibilities. But yeah, I'm not ruling that out either.
When hip hop originally started, it was all about the DJing, the rapping, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and things evolved.
Yeah.
Now, part of the evolution at some point included like skateboarding,
Yeah,
riding bikes, extreme sports.
Yeah.
So, that was obviously years later. What's your opinion on things like that, getting involved? Do you think it
Like some
dilutes the scene? Do you think it
No,
adds
not
to
at
it?
all. I feel like it's a shame. Like so many people will mention hip hop and the elements, but they forget about the skate park. And for me, like a skate park is the most hip hop place ever. Like you're being mad creative with something that's not the obvious. There's a really good like community and a culture there. There's the exploration. We're all listening to hip hop. Like people think, oh, skateboarders just listen to rock and metal. Like no, we have like jams where we'll bring out the speakers and there's decks and stuff and there's people playing music and you're skating. My mate at the time used to make skate videos.
Okay.
And even watching him like edit the skating to the music was sick. Like someone lands a trick and it's on the beat. And I'm like, yeah, I really want to do that. Like that's dope. I think skating is so hip hop and I feel like it's a shame that a lot of people know this, but I don't think a lot of people think about it enough. They're like, oh, skating, like skating, innit? I'm like, skating is so hip hop. Like, don't turn your nose up. Like, go skate park and see. So yeah, I'm quite passionate about that. But yeah, definitely. For me, skating is the most hip hop thing there is, apart from hip hop, if that makes sense.
And riding bikes and doing your stunts
All
with
of that.
bikes and all that.
Yeah. Like my friend who's a dope BMXer, used to know loads of good skateboarders. And we'd all jam together as well, which is a good thing.
Do you still do your rollerblading?
Yeah, not as much as I used to at all. But like, yeah, when I get a bit of break from work, like the 6 weeks holidays or, little breaks from, then if the weather's nice, I'll try and go back to skate parks again. I had a good like 6-7 year break and I got back on my skates. I was like, oh, as if I ever stopped doing this. Kind of like when I was rapping today, I was like, oh, how did I ever stop doing this? Sometimes responsibilities creep in, but yeah, I go for a skate every now and then.
So do you think skating has brought hip hop more into the open, or is it a case of hip hop has brought skating more into the open?
I'd probably say in the bigger picture that hip hop's brought skating into the open.
Okay.
Just because like I said, I didn't know about hip hop until I started skating. I really didn't. I just thought hip hop was like Nelly.
Wow.
And like I didn't know about hip hop at the time. I was like, oh, MTV hip hop. I didn't know about hip hop.
Moving back to the rap side of things.
Yeah.
Right. How would you describe your style?
I'd say when I started out, probably my first EP was just a lot about what I saw on an everyday basis. And I wasn't politically aware on a bigger scale of things. I started to read a little bit more because listening to artists like Akala, Low-Key, Logic made me think, oh, actually, there's other things, there's other things going on outside of my little bubble. And then I started to like research more, and I used to like make quite a lot of notes when I was reading, and I'd put them in like a lyric book, and then I think, oh, what do I want to write about today? And I just flip open a page and be like, oh yeah, I'll write about that. So that's probably when I got slightly more influenced into. Sometimes you run out of things to say about your everyday life, right? And you need a bit of inspiration. So I would think I'd choose a book. But Unspeak is a track I did, but I read a book called Unspeak and it was sick. So I was like, oh, I need to write a track about this book.
You got one of my favourite MCs in the UK on there, Life MC.
Yeah, for real.
How did you get Life on there?
Here's another one of the people I was listening to from the very beginning, like the whole For Life Cypher thing. And I went to a show with him and Cyphers, and they're performing. I was in the crowd vibing, having
Where was this?
I think it might have been at Brixton Jam. Now you mention it, I totally forgot. I think it was at Brixton Jam.
Okay.
And I was in the crowd vibing, and then finished the tune, and then Life was like, "Oh, Oracy, I see you in the crowd. Like your music's cool." And I was bare gas, thinking, "Oh, how does he even like know me? Let alone he knows my tunes." So like, I don't know. Maybe a few weeks later, I was like, "Oh, if you don't ask, you don't get in it." So I was like, "Oh, I'll just message him and see if he wants to be on the track." And he was like, "Yeah." But these times I hadn't even done an album yet. Like that was my first album really. I did a little EP before, but nothing of solid substance. So he was like, yeah. And I was like, right, okay. And yeah, he was on it, like sent him a beat, he writ straight away. And it was mad, yeah, like his verse was like it was in my head. So like I wrote the first verse, that was based on this book. And it was like he read the rest of the book and wrote the other half that I was going to write.
So he got what you were doing?
Madly. Like, it was the most next level emotional thing when I listened.
Have you ever asked him if he actually knows the book and knows where the title came from?
I don't think he did, I didn't tell him. I didn't tell him on purpose. I wanted to see what he would bring to the table. I don't need to tell him nothing, innit? You're going to listen and do your own thing. And when I listened to it, I was like, raw, like, it's like he was there when I was writing it over my shoulder or something, and he just literally finished off the story. He was bare sick.
Should we call him now?
Holla!
Should we call him now?
Go on then, Rago.
One sec.
See if he answers the phone.
Let me see if he'll answer the phone. He doesn't know this is happening, by the way, so I don't know if he will answer the phone. Give me a second.
Yeah, that'll be sick.
I just want to tell him that you're here. See what he says.
Tell him we're gassing him now.
One sec.
Like, he
Let's
wants
see
to
what
be
it
a
says.
millionaire.
Yeah.
Phone a friend.
I hope he answers. Come on. Yo, Life. Yo, Life, how you doing, bro? Yeah, bro, how you doing? He can't hear me clearly yet. Just
Yeah, I
wait.
can tell.
Yeah, how you doing, bro? You good? Excellent. Bro, I'm just doing an interview with somebody, and I want to see if it's okay to put you on speaker to say something.
Put man on the spot.
Right. So
Sick.
you done a track with Oracy years ago called Unspeak, and I've got Oracy here doing an interview. Can I put you on speakerphone and for you to say something, like just have a quick conversation with her about the track? All right. One sec, bro. I'm going to put you on speakerphone now.
I'm going to talk to you because basically we were just gassing, saying, "Oh, Blade was saying, tell me about the Unspeak tune."
I can hear you, but I can't hear Oracy.
So basically, what happened is she wrote the Unspeak track, and it was based on a book that she was reading at a time. And what she said is it was mad that she didn't tell you what it was about, but it's like you'd read the same book and you'd finished off what she was thinking.
Okay. Well, anyway, I just heard their lyrics and I kind of got the vibe for the tune to kind of maybe, write my verse, man. And I liked it because, like she says, words are very powerful things, man. And at the time in my life, even certain things going on and around me and people's words, it was a good chat for me to do. It made sense, man. And I always know that Oracy was someone that used to come to our shows, support us and stuff like that. And I was glad to see her rapping, and I was really happy that she asked me even to feature on her album, man. I was happy to do that for her, man.
She was in the audience and you called her out and bigged her up and everything. And then she thought, you know what, I might as well just ask him if he'll feature. And she tried and you said, yeah.
Yeah, man.
You remember that?
I could see she was, I remember she was full hip-hop, and I've seen her at a few shows and stuff. And when it's people like that who got love for whatever, then you just show love back, innit?
There you go.
That's it, man.
Yeah, and I guess that's why, like, some of us have been friends for as long as we have, because we've always just done that. So,
yeah, no, for sure.
You know. But yeah, is there anything you want to say to Oracy before I cut off and go back to the interview?
Nah, man, just tell her hello, man, because I haven't obviously been around for time, so just nice to know she's still about. I didn't know if she was still even doing music or anything.
There you go.
What's she up to nowadays?
Well, I'm going to find out because I'm in the middle of the interview and I don't really know the answer to that. But I am trying to encourage her to get back into music.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Yeah.
I've got someone who lives around the corner from me, some woman, she's an artist. But she was like, oh, I was listening to Oracy's album and I heard you on it. But she used to think, she thought that Oracy was the best female MC, like her favorite MC. And that's for real. So, yeah, man, get back in the music if she can.
All right. So, you've heard it directly from Live MC now. And you don't have an option. Blade said it now, Live has said it, and I'm sure loads of other dope MCs have said it.
Yeah, no, you've got me, got me.
And you know what? Let's get her back in the game. Get me, you, and Oracy on the track.
I'm there. So if she does it, I'm there.
I'm there. I've signed up already now.
I'm there. All right, bro. I'm going to leave you to it. But yeah, we'll speak soon.
All right, then. One love, Oracy, man.
Big up.
All right, take care, bro.
Peace.
Peace.
All right.
Peace.
All right, then. Peace, my brother.
Sick.
So there you go. You heard it directly from Live MC. He's on the phone and he wants her to come back into the game.
Yeah,
so
I do that.
You don't really have an option now,
I don't,
do you?
I really don't. You called me and I was like, yeah, I'm obviously going to turn up in it.
Yeah.
And it's been a hot minute, like a couple of years.
Yeah. But like I said, you smashed it in the freestyle and I can't wait for everybody to see that. So,
cool.
Yeah. Talking of freestyles, Cyphers, you used to do quite a lot of them.
Yeah.
Is there anyone that really, really sticks out in your mind?
Like I used to come all the way to London, then go all the way to South Croydon just to go to this cypher called Showtime that was set up by Catherine North, I believe. And I think Ollie Sudden was there quite a lot. So I literally used to come all the way from Wolverhampton and not even know where I was staying. Like I'd sleep in my car, sleep in like bare random people's like sofas and stuff. But it was worth it. And I liked the vibe, like, it was nice.
Obviously, you used to come from Wolverhampton. You had no idea where you were staying. You do realise that there are certain people in the hip-hop community that are just like family. If they find out you're hip-hop.
No, for real. Yeah. I learned that quick. For real. Like, I was never worried about the fact I didn't have anywhere to stay because I knew after the gig, like, oh, where are you going? Or like the amount of times I spent at Catherine's was a madness.
So that was your favorite cipher.
Yeah, it was just the original. I'm not gonna say it was my favorite. It was just the one that kind of grabbed me at the beginning and made me think, yeah, I'm going to travel to London. And eventually, I used to travel to London so much, I was like, oh, I may as well just move there.
Okay.
So I did.
On that Foot in the Door album, another track that really stood out to me was Meds, Deep Meds.
Yeah.
Deep Meds.
Okay.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
I'm not like a super spiritual person by any means, but I kind of got into trying to look after my well-being. You know, you've got a body, you've got a mind, you need to look after it. And I knew people that used to like meditate, but I just couldn't meditate. Like, how you meditate? Like, I couldn't switch off. I couldn't just like block everything out. I ruminate a lot and I focus on things constantly. I can't shut things out. I can't even stand still for like 3 minutes because I try that every week and I can't do it. It might get to a minute and I start wandering off, forgetting that I was meant to stand still. So I was like, oh, let me practice. And I kept practicing. And one day I eventually was like, yo, I just zoned out for like 20 minutes and it was nice. So I kind of wrote about the process that I went through to get to that stage. And it was really nice and I enjoyed it. So I thought, oh, let me write a track. Like, it might, I don't know, encourage someone to like keep practicing or inspire someone to like follow a guided meditation that wasn't so corny.
Have you had anyone come up to you and tell you that you have inspired them?
Yeah, and it's really refreshing. Like, for me, it's not so much like someone's bigged me up. It's just really nice to be heard by someone. Like, the fact that people listen to my music, I find really like peculiar, especially as I haven't been putting music out for like a year or two, but it's quite beautiful. It's like performing on stage is really beautiful just because I'm talking and people are listening. And that might sound like really egotistical, but I have friends, but I'm not one of those people that has like a big social circle and really tight people. And I just think it's really quite beautiful when you can conversate and like bond with someone just over sharing experiences
through your music, through your words.
Yeah, so especially if there's a beat behind it and there's an energy of a crowd and, you know, I was like, yeah, it's really nice. I'm not going to lie.
Wicked.
People singing your lyrics is mad. I'm like, raw, you actually know what I have to say and care. You actually paid to listen to me speak. That's nuts.
And that leads me on to the next thing. Being an artist, and a lot of people don't seem to understand this unless they're an artist and they've been there. Being an artist is really lonely.
No, definitely.
So what is your experience of that?
I was a solo artist and I didn't even really have a DJ or anything. So I would just travel everywhere on my own. And I used to feel really guilty when people say, oh, how's music? And I'm like, do you know what? On paper, it looks really cool. Like, oh, you get to travel here and you're going to different countries and it's really cool. I was like, the reality is I spend like 4 hours traveling somewhere with my bag on my back, getting lost, trying to use my maps to find out where I'm going. Then you do a sound check and then you've got 3 hours to kill, but you're on your own. So what do you do for 3 hours? Like, probably that's when you used to smoke or go and smoke a spliff. Like, I didn't know what to do with myself. And then you're on stage and that bit's cool. Then afterwards you've got people that you can talk to and stuff, which might seem a bit overwhelming when you've had like a whole day to yourself. Yeah. And then the night's over and you're just chilling on your own. Yeah. And it was like, oh, this is really cool, but if you don't have anyone to share that with, it's kind of a bit dead. Like, just like anything, something amazing can happen, but if you turn around to tell that person that's special to you, but they're not there.
I think only an artist would understand something like that. Yeah. Be in a crowd of 10,000 and still be alone.
No, for real, that played a big part in why I thought, let me like, not put music to the side as such, but music really consumed my life and music was going really cool, but every other aspect of my life was not going cool. Yeah. Like, I had a crappy little side job, didn't really socialise much, was like living in a room in a house. It's just like, after the exciting bit of music was over, it was like everything felt awful.
So do you feel that was one of the reasons why you decided to pack it in?
I just wanted to experiment with other things. I didn't ever make a conscious decision like, I'm never going to make music again. I just thought, oh, let me have a little break and see what else is out there. And then that break ended up being like, at first it was just a year break because that theatre stuff happened. And then that kind of finished. And now I'm on a little, you know, life venture.
So we'll come and talk about that theatre thing in a minute. Yeah. But the next thing I want to ask you is more on a personal level. Yeah. Right. Obviously, you got your shaved head.
Yeah, fresh trim now.
Out of respect and not like in any way to be offensive or whatever. Normally, I'd wear a cap, but I thought, you know what? I'm going to take my cap off and I'm going to join you with like basically a bald head.
Yeah, man.
And you shaved your head. Do you want to explain to people why and how that's affected you as an artist, as a human being?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, because there are people out there who go through that and they hide it.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't need to.
Well, I spent a whole lot of time hiding it. So I have like alopecia and I first started having like patches of hair going missing when I was about 6. But at that age, it didn't bother me. Like, I wasn't really that bothered. It was just little patches. And mainly I couldn't see them as well, so I didn't care. But when I was like 15, for whatever reason, probably a few reasons at the time, like stress or whatever, like all my hair just fell out. In a matter of like probably a month's time, like my hair started to fall out when I was combing it, and then it just kept falling out and falling out. And it was like really, really stressful. I was like, oh my gosh, my hair. And I think because I was 15 at the time, that's like a bit of a delicate age to lose your hair.
Yeah, definitely.
I just wore wigs because that's how I felt most comfortable. And even my mum was like, oh, why don't you try, like, you know, yeah, you've lost your hair and it's a bit sad, but why don't you, like, you can have a different hairstyle every day now. I wasn't that kid. I wasn't into, like, makeup and hairstyles and that. I just wanted a wig that looked like my old hair. Like, I just wanted people not to know about it, kind of thing. And when it was falling out, my dad was like, why don't you just shave it off? I was like, I'm not going to be bald, Dad. He's like, why not? It will suit you. But I was just not, I didn't have that confidence at the time. And I was a confident kid. So I'd wore wigs for so long, and I'd hid it from so many people for whatever reason, which is weird because I was quite a confident person, but when it came to my hair, I was not confident. Like, if I had a partner, then I'd be like, okay, I may as well let you know. But apart from that, and my closest friends, it's not something I ever brought up. And then my hair started to grow back, and one day I was like, oh, maybe I should just try and, like, rock my natural hair. But I was really worried, so I didn't want to have to go for the whole thing of, oh, I've been wearing a wig all this time. And it's a bit silly, but I felt like a bit ashamed that I was like hiding my hair underneath. Like, you know, you go through different phases in your life. I was like, oh, forget it. Like, hip hop world's cool, and everyone, who's going to be mean about it? So I just like, yeah, got a fresh trim. I was like, oh, actually, my hair looks pretty cool because my hair had grown back to a certain degree. But then after like 2-3 months, my hair just decided to like start falling out and again, which was really annoying because I spent all that time like hiding it. And then one day I thought, oh, I'll just rock it natural. And then it fell out, and I was kind of gutted at the time, but I knew I didn't want to go back to wearing wigs. Like, it was good that I kind of accepted the fact that I still had patches, but I was okay with how it looked. So I just, one day, me and my good friend Ross was sat there, and I was like, oh, just shave it off. Shaved it off, and I was like, oh. It was a weird feeling at the time, but I didn't feel terrible. There was no, I thought I'd be in tears. It was all right. And I looked and I was like, oh, it took a bit of getting used to. I used to like see my shadow and be like, oh yeah, that's my shadow without the hair. But now it's been, I don't know how long it's been since I shaved my head, but...
Well, it suits you. And let's not forget, like, one of the greatest musicians or singers of my generation was a lady by the name of Sinead O'Connor.
There you go.
Yeah, Sinead O'Connor. And she always had, like, you know, a bald head and whatever. And it was a powerful statement in itself.
For real. Like, now I'm so happy with it. Like, it's mad. Even going in the shower, I get out of the shower, I'm like, oh, I don't have to do my hair. It's windy, don't worry. Like, it's cool.
So what have you got to say to any other women who suffer from that? Because men can get away with bald heads easily.
But even then, I've appreciated the fact that there's some men that are really conscious about having lost their hair, innit? Like, especially when it's alopecia, you didn't choose it and it didn't happen because of age or whatever. It just fell out,
given a choice.
And if you're used to looking a certain way, even men as well, like, and you lose your hair, it's kind of like a big deal for people. Like, I always said if I had to lose a body part, I'd lose my hair. It's better than losing a hand or an ear or a nose. So it's not the worst thing to happen, but it can affect how you feel about yourself. Like, I used to feel like, oh, I'm so ugly without my wig on. Whereas now, like, it's calm. Every now and then I'll get dressed up to go somewhere and I'm like, oh, do you know what's missing from this outfit? Hair. But it's more like a banter with myself, and I kind of get on with it. And it's just nice. Like, people used to say, oh, the sooner you embrace it, the better you'll feel. So but it really is true, the sooner you embrace it, the better you feel.
So
like,
is that your advice?
Yeah, it's just hair, innit? Yeah. And I used to think, oh, like, I've been single my whole adult life, and I thought, oh, if I'm bald, that's going to make it even worse. But it's not a problem, People still want to date bald chicks, it's not a problem. So, just leave it in the past and just embrace yourself. I feel happier every morning I wake up compared to what I used to feel like. Yeah, it's refreshing.
Excellent. What do you do now?
Teacher now. Yeah, teacher. I work at a special ed school, a secondary school. I got into that through doing hip-hop workshops. I used to do those in France, like teaching English to French children. And I just really enjoyed it. And I thought, oh, do you know what? Like, I struggle getting on with adults, I'll be honest with you. Like, adults are tiring. Kids are awesome. Like, I can spend time with kids, even though they're challenging. Like, some of my kids are really challenging to be around. But I definitely smile more than I'm stressed, if that makes sense. And it's nice to, like, pass on knowledge in a way that's not cliche school. Like, we have a curriculum and we follow it, but there's a level of flexibility when you're working with these kids. There's, like, working on their social skills. Like a kid talks now and he didn't used to talk before, or a kid's eating fruit and he never used to eat fruit. And it's like, it's very beautiful. Every day, like, they fully make me smile. They're funny in their own way, innit? And I find it really rewarding. So
I mean, I've been there with my own son where he was non-verbal for about 3 years.
yeah,
It's heartbreaking.
yeah, for real,
You know,
for real.
and then all of a sudden, well, you met him earlier.
Yeah.
You know, and he doesn't really say much.
But still,
you know, but he's talking now.
Yeah,
at least,
and it's a very beautiful journey to watch. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like my life would be pretty bland without those beautiful moments each day.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have brothers or sisters. I don't have my own kids, but I have a class of 10 kids, and they're pretty awesome.
On your Instagram, I saw a picture of you wearing a costume of a bunny or something.
Oh yeah, and World Book Day. Yeah, I'll go all in. I don't mind. I'll do anything to like keep the kids entertained, and I'll look like an idiot quite happily.
The teacher thing.
Yeah.
Is that kind of everything you do now?
Right now it is. I've just finished my qualification. So last year I was at uni and working, so that was pretty much all consuming. This year's my first official teaching year, and it's been a difficult year with everything going on around the world as well. And next year it's going to be similar. It's my first like full teaching year, but it's going well, and I've had a lot of good feedback, and it's something I actually enjoy and I want to get better at. And yeah, so I think I'll keep that up, but I also know that after this year I'll be a little bit more, you know, I can breathe.
So are you going to be able to find time to get back into doing the recordings?
Well, I did, didn't it? I'm here today.
Yeah.
So yeah, I reckon I can. Now I've got the work-life balance. You know, when you start something new, it's very consuming. Now I'm at a level where I can, you know, there's
Well, I think also because of the way, maybe even the teaching has matured you more.
No, definitely.
But because of the way that's matured you, like, you can actually have a better opportunity of actually making it through your music.
Yeah,
do you understand? Because the egos are gone, everything is gone, blah, blah, blah.
No, definitely. I've matured a lot working with the kids, definitely.
Because that makes a massive difference.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. With hip-hop, it's all that bravado stuff and, competition.
No, but I've matured a lot. I definitely would say when I was younger, I could be, I don't want to call myself an arse, but there's definitely times I look back and I'm like, yeah, I was being a bit of an arsehole. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. But that's just about being young as well. Like,
well, yeah, it is about being young, but it's also part of what hip hop was. You know, everyone has got this extra testosterone, including the females.
Like
don't know where they got them from.
To a certain persona or whatever, and even though that wasn't in me naturally, there's times when I'd be like, "What do you mean? Like I earned that kind of thing." Whereas now I'm a bit more just. But a
lot of artists feel they've earned it before they've done anything.
Yeah, for real.
You know, so
I don't think I was that person, but who knows? I could go back and ask people, then I might say,
and maybe just say something different.
Yeah. And I'm open to that. Like that's fine.
But you know what? I feel like you've earned your right to have a little bit of ego and stuff going on. And I'm going to come to this thing now because I've been waiting all interview to say this. But you were involved in a suffragette thing.
Yeah.
Right. First of all, do you want to explain what suffragette means for anyone who doesn't understand it?
Well, it's about the. Ironically, because I was so like not about women's movements, but it was interesting. So yeah, like the suffragettes, the women who fought for like women's rights, equality. We should be able to go to work. We should be able to live and have equal rights to men. And it's not something I grew up being interested in the slightest. I wasn't taught these things, or if I wasn't paying attention. I'll be honest with you. I checked my mail one day and someone messaged me saying, I don't even know how they heard of me, but they was like, oh, we're writing a musical, and I was like, musical? Well, I'm not about no musicals. But it just seemed a bit interesting, and I had a lot going on at the time, so I didn't respond to the email for like 2 months. And I responded. He was like, yeah, there's one role left. Do you want to come? And it was like the best email reply that I'd ever replied to. So
did you actually know what suffragette meant before
that?
Yeah,
a bit, but not like enough to write about it. Like like after that call, like I went and brought books and sat down and did my research and my notes and stuff. And I was like, I should have. I knew like the cliche things, but I didn't know about different people, X, Y, Z, and like the actual stages of development and stuff. And it was a really insightful journey.
Yeah, because I didn't really understand what suffragettes meant for maybe till about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I saw a program about it.
You don't know that, right?
You don't, but this is what I'm saying. Is it because they keep it away from us on purpose?
Maybe.
You know, what's the reasoning for it?
Yeah.
But I saw it on a TV show and I was intrigued. I was watching it.
Yeah.
And then I remember seeing Shady doing something to do with suffragettes as well. And that caught my attention. I'm like, wow, this is getting about.
For real.
You know, why do people not know this? You know, and then you end up being in a musical at the London Palladium, and then you also travel to other places. I believe you've done Sheffield, a couple of other places.
We went to like big theatres, and I'd never done theatre before, so the whole thing was like a brand new experience.
What can you tell us about performing at the London Palladium?
It was awesome, but when we did the sound check, I had the first bars, and my mind just went blank, and there was no audience there. I was just there, and I was like, I think I was just overwhelmed. Like, it's a big stage. Like, after the show, I cried. I was like bare happy.
What's the capacity?
I don't know, a lot. That was the capacity. I didn't need to know the number. Someone went to tell me. I said, I don't need to know the number.
Yeah.
It was a big, obviously the biggest show I'd ever done.
Yeah.
Like, obviously. And it was cool because, like, having a standing ovation. My friend used to do theatre when he was a kid, and he was like, it's the greatest feeling in the world. I was like, oh, he probably is good, but not that good.
Yeah.
But it is actually quite a beautiful thing. It's all that. It's not just that people are clapping you. It's the shared, like I said before, the shared energy, the shared experience.
So if you were to be like in front of a 10,000 audience at a hip hop festival, or 10,000 audience at the Palladium.
I mean, I'm gonna go for hip hop as my thing, but I would definitely say like performing at the Palladium was definitely a mad experience. Like, there's a mirror in the Palladium. It's like, it has a name, I can't remember what it's called, but to me it was just the big mirror.
Yeah.
But it's one of those mirrors, I haven't changed that mirror.
Probably mirror.
It's the, it's the mirror you look at before you go onto the stage, and it's like a lot of people who are really famous and established have stood in that spot looking in the mirror, and it's just one of those things.
Well, like, as in when you're walking, there's a mirror, so you can check yourself.
Yeah, and it's one of those things.
So like, describe the walk onto the stage. I'm curious.
It's a long walk.
Describe it.
Do you know what? Visually, I don't remember much because it's that internal thing, isn't it? Like, you're thinking more in your head, like, don't mess up your lines. Don't mess up your lines, especially because someone else's lines are after yours, so you can't mess up your lines. It's not like you mess up your bars, you can fill in the blanks. So to be fair, all of it was a blur. I just know it was quite a long walk, and then you have to stand behind the curtain before you step on, and it just feels overwhelming, but refreshing at the same time.
But that teamwork, I mean, that says a lot in itself, just the fact that there was so many of you on that stage working together. I mean, what did you learn from that experience?
It was really cool because I have to give props to the lady that actually organised it. Is the Guilty Feminist, Deborah Francis White, and it's relevant when I bring this up. She's a white woman, and she said, I want to do a musical about the suffragettes, but I don't want it to be white people. There's no white people that did this. There was one guy, but she got all women who were not white to perform the whole thing.
So the woman that I saw that was white in the picture,
she was the organizer.
She was the organizer.
That funded the whole thing and like actually paid us properly. Like, you know how music can be. Paid, like, she looked after us well and like showed us respect and stuff like that.
Brilliant. Okay.
And she's a comedian, and she writes books. She does a lot.
So mad respects to her for treating you with respect.
She opened me up to like opportunities and experiences that I would have never experienced before. And she didn't really know me from Adam. It was just a case of like, okay, I heard you can write well. And it was an enjoyable experience to like writing lyrics for other people, because I'd never done that before. And working with so many women. I've never worked with a bunch of women. There was like 13 of us, I think, and it was really good. That helped me shave my head as well, just being around black females. Everyone has their own natural different hairstyles or unnatural hairstyles, but it's just nice. I was like, okay. I definitely felt that did a lot for my confidence. Did
you feel like before that your confidence level was maybe compromised, and that really did something to help
I didn't realise it was, but there's definitely that thing about, I spent most of my life around men in terms of being my closest friends, and that was the first time I'd spent so much time around a bunch of women. We were all like a big family of sisters, and it was like really beautiful, really nice. And it was just, I don't know, I've just felt like, this is awesome. I feel like I can be me now.
Yeah, wicked.
And it was awesome. So they're all people I will never forget. We don't keep in touch enough, you know how that is, but they're people I think about more than on a regular basis.
The world has changed so much now that people are just caught up in so much that, they miss out quite a lot just from connecting with people and communication. It's like, I call people and they're like, yo, can you text me?
And I'm guilty of that. I'll see my phone ring and I get some weird level of anxiety, even if it's someone I really want to talk to. And I'm like, why am I hesitating to talk to a person? I don't know. Because I don't think I'm an anxious person, but the world's a weird place, right?
Yeah, of course. The world is weird. So what's it going to take for us to get you back on the mic?
It's already happened. Like, you invited me here. That was enough because I got here, and then life was like, get back on it. That's already happened.
It's happened.
No,
So we don't have to do no more.
You don't have to do anymore.
So you're going to start hearing...
You just have to keep tabs now. That's it, and see what I'm doing. Like, you don't have to try anything. I mean, when I found out I was doing this, I put the word out for some beats, and all I did was just put a post. Interested in beats, send anything. Like, I still haven't finished going through them. Like, loads of people were sending me beats. I literally haven't finished listening through them. Like, there's too many.
Wicked.
But that's cool. Like, it's been so long, but people are like, oh yeah, I like your music. And
wicked. That's just what I'm saying. You don't realise, like, you had an impact.
Yeah, sometimes I don't realise. It's when people tell me and I'm like, oh yeah, maybe. From the
follow-
inside
follow.
out, sometimes it's a bit different,
Yeah,
innit?
but look, you just had one of the best MCs on the phone
yeah.
telling you.
No, for real.
You know what I mean?
I have to say, when Blade called me, like, my phone rang, but I didn't have the number, and I answered it. And then he said something. I was like, "Do you know who this is?" And in my head, I thought, "This sounds like Blade, but Blade wouldn't be calling me, so I don't want to look like a dickhead and go, is this Blade?" For the person to be like, "No, you idiot, it's Bob or something." And he was like, "It's Blade," and I was like, "Raw, that's deep," because like, yeah, like, why are you calling me? Like, what? He's like, "Yeah, I like your music." Johnny, I was like, "Okay."
Well, you already knew I liked your music because I told you
It was
years
just an
ago.
out of the, and it's mad because I don't answer my phone, and it was a number I didn't recognize. So fate had my back because I was like, "Oh, hello."
Finally, to round things up,
Yeah.
is there anything that you want to say that we haven't discussed yet? Do you want to tell people where they can find you? Obviously, not your house address, but
no, you don't need my house address. I mean, before I do that, I'll just say, like, the world's in a bit of a madness right now, and there's a lot of bad energy, like bare negativity, bare anger, bare bitterness. Like, the world's mad enough as it is, isn't it? Just be peaceful, be calm, stop hating on people, chill, wake up and think of the good stuff, not the bad stuff. And I'm not saying be ignorant and live like behind a shadow or whatever, but bro, the world's mad enough as it is, isn't it? Can't we just settle a bit? And beyond that, no, not at all. My name's Oracy. You can still find me the same places at Oracy Music. Reach out, innit? Get me off my arse a bit. I've been a bit working and sleeping, and that's it. So yeah, it'd be cool if people can reach out. Let me know if there's an event or something. Invite me out. I don't have any mates, innit? Holler me at Oracy Music. No shame. That's it. And respect for inviting me as well, because yeah.
No, listen, it's like when
nice.
I started this channel, the whole point was to document people's stories, people that have been there, people that are trying to come in and whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that what we're doing here is going to change things.
Yeah, for real.
So for you to tell me that you're now going to get up on the mic again.
Yeah. It was an honour that you hollered me. I was like, raw, that's kind of dope. Like, so yeah, I felt like, yeah, I'm definitely going to say yes to that. And now I'm here. I'm like, yeah, that was cool. So yeah, the passion's never going to die. It's just, you know, put to the side. But thanks.
If you want to find out more about Oracy, please follow her on her connection pages. All the relevant links can be found in the description below. Please comment, like, share, and make sure you subscribe to the channel and click on the bell to receive the notifications. Thank you for watching, and Oracy, thank you for taking part.
Thank you. Big up.
Really appreciate it.
Respect. Thank you.